Good morning, Andy. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Emma. Morning, everybody. Here we go. Brilliant. Nice to
Lots of
see
people
everybody
joining.
again. Welcome back, Emma, as well.
Thank you.
Weren't on the last one. We all
No,
missed
I
you.
wasn't. Thank you.
Yeah. It's good to have you back.
Yes, glad to be back. It was websites last month, wasn't it?
It
Which
was indeed. Yeah.
Charlotte is a much better person to have spoken about that than me. So
Yeah.
it was a good swap. But back in the driving seat to talk about templates and snippets.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Obviously, welcome to another HubSpot masterclass with myself and Emma. And as Emma quite rightly pointed out, you can see on screen, we're here today to talk about how we can get the most out of email templates and snippets. Okay. So Emma's going to be showing you how we can save time, boost productivity,
Mm,
and also, with creating content and things like that, it's all about maintaining consistency in your business as well. Email templates and snippets are going to help you do that. So whether you're in sales, marketing, customer service, you're going to leave today with lots of actionable tips that you can implement. So um,
definitely.
as always with our webinars, the masterclasses, we aim to keep them for about 30 minutes. So finish time today is going to be about 11 o'clock. We haven't done a dry run of this yet, so we may overrun slightly, but I think we're okay for time. Feel free to ask questions in the chat as we go. We will try and answer questions live as and where we can, but we are both going to stick around afterwards for 10-15 minutes
15
just
minutes or so. Yeah.
just to make sure that every question is covered, answered, as well. So, as I say, lots to cover. So it'd be good to just check that the chat is actually live. So just check that it's working. So, I think that what would be a good exercise is to understand currently who's using email templates, who's using snippets, and who isn't currently.
Mm.
So, um, that would be
So,
good. So that's Matt's raised his hands. Let's have a look on here then.
there we
Using
go.
both. There we go. It's come through.
Okay, a few people using them. Um, some people not. Um, I'm not using direct email out of HubSpot at all, purely syncing from Outlook.
Okay.
So there's
Yeah.
a few different responses at the moment, which is good. Hopefully, all of those different responses we will
Oh,
will you'll get something out of today, whether that's that you're not using it at all, or whether that's that you want to get a little bit more out of it. We'll cover both sides of that today.
absolutely.
Fantastic.
Okay, that's a good little mix there then of everybody
Mm,
doing bits and pieces. So that's good. Before we start, and before I hand over to Emma, obviously some of you may be new here. You not maybe attended one of our master classes before. Some of you may have done. I've seen a few familiar names in the chat already this morning. So as always with these, I always like to start with a little bit of an introduction into JDR, just so you are familiar with who Emma and I am,
mm,
basically. The uh, JDR Group, we are traditionally a business coaching business, which is how we started the company over 20 years ago now. Today, we are an inbound marketing agency working with small to medium sized businesses to help them grow their companies effectively. We've been established, as I say, over 20 years now. We've been HubSpot partners for over 10 years as well. We've been using it in our own business for about 13, 14 years. I've used it every day in that period today. We've been elite HubSpot partners for just over 2 years now, I think it
yeah.
is. And there's three primary ways in which we help businesses when it comes to HubSpot. Either with onboarding and setup. So if you've just purchased HubSpot, okay, one of the things that you're going to need is it to be set up correctly, okay? And Emma and her team will help you understand your business and get HubSpot set up the way that it wants to work. Some of you may already be using HubSpot, okay, but perhaps not getting the most out of it, okay, may have been self-taught, okay. We can help from a consulting and a training perspective really get you and your team up to scratch with it, using it for its full capabilities, and actually leveraging it the way it was supposed to when you purchased it in the first place. But our day to day is actually inbound marketing. So, as I said before, we are an outsourced marketing department for businesses. Okay. We provide all of the resources the business would need, whether it's from a strategic perspective, okay, but also, as you can see on screen, we have the resources to execute it as well, okay. And when we're working with a business on a marketing perspective, is we use HubSpot to underpin all of our activity. Okay, we get really detailed metrics on what works and what doesn't. So, if you would like to speak about any of these at all, any particular services or any of the three things that I've talked about there, I will pop a link to my diary in the chat very shortly. As you can appreciate, I've just come back off holiday, so I don't have a lot of availability in the next couple of weeks because everyone did it before I went. But going into July, I've got loads and loads of time as well. So feel free to schedule a call with me, and I'd love to chat with you about your sales, your marketing, and HubSpot as well. Okay. But that's enough about JDR. I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to hand over to Emma, and we're going to dive into email templates and snippets.
Indeed. So email templates and snippets you will have access to as part of either Sales Hub or Service Hub, or both. And it's actually a feature that's available on just the starter version of HubSpot. You actually don't need the professional version to get the most out of what we're going to be going through today. There are a couple of extra things you can do with them on the professional version, but even on the starter, I think you get like 1,000 different templates and 1,000 different snippets now, which should be more than enough for you to really jump in and start using this tool. So if you're using HubSpot in any kind of way, this is definitely a tool that that is worth looking at and seeing how you can get the most of, really. So the first thing to explain, and a question that I actually saw in the chat, was what is a template versus a snippet? What are the differences between them? How should they be used differently? And this is a question I get all the time. Templates essentially are as the name suggests, a templated email. So it's essentially the copy or the text for an entire email that's going to kind of be sent as a unit, I suppose. Templates also are what forms the basis of sequences on Sales Hub Professional. So that's the area where you will need that professional subscription to get the most of this. But essentially, think about a template as you would think about an Outlook template or something like that you may already have. It's an entire email with your kind of greeting, all of the text of that email all in one place. Snippets, on the other hand, are pieces of information that you can use within a greater email. So an example that I always use personally, I'm constantly sending my clients, as part of other emails, instructions on how to connect their emails into HubSpot. So I have a personal snippet set up that just has those instructions in. So every single time I would need to do that, I can just click this snippet and it will give me that little piece of information for me to insert into a wider email. Quite a lot of people will use templates in place of snippets for that, but it's best to use these as two separate tools. You have access to both of them, and it is best to separate it out in that way. It integrates smoother with your Outlook or your Gmail and things like that if you do it that way as well. The other thing with snippets, and we'll go into this a little bit more today, is the fact that they can be used outside of just your emails. Snippets actually integrate into loads of other tools within the HubSpot CRM, including in your notes and things like that. So they can be really good for that standardization outside of just your emails as well. We will go into that a little bit more towards the end today.
I would say that me personally, I use snippets more outside of email than I do
than you do inside of email. I think the use cases for that are much broader. So yeah, I don't disagree with that. So the benefits of both of these, really, like Andy said at the start, this is all about saving time. It's all about being more efficient with your time, even if that's a couple of seconds here and there. It is really worthwhile to save that time. You're not going to have to be trawling through to find the last time you sent something. Set it up once and it's always going to be there. I also find these really helpful from a systemization perspective. If you're a business where perhaps previously you've done all of the sales yourself and maybe you're now getting someone else to do it, maybe you're growing your team a little bit, maybe hiring your first salespeople, anything like that, having something in place where you still have an element of control over the languaging of what's being sent in the emails, over how certain things are portrayed to your prospects, or even your existing clients, that systemization is super important, and this can be really helpful for within that as well. The other thing about these is that they are also personalizable and automatically personalizable
Mm.
as well. When we actually jump in and I'll show you how you can do some of the personalization. But essentially, that means that these aren't going to feel like templated emails. These aren't going to feel like that kind of cookie cutter, copy and paste junk that we all get in our inboxes. This is going to feel a lot more personal, but still be really, really quick to pull together and send out to people. So let's dive in and start with templates as our kind of start point. We'll come on to snippets in a little bit. To get to your templates, and just in our demo portal here, you'll go into the CRM tab and then down into templates here. That will bring you to this area. Now, you can organize your templates into folders, which I always recommend doing, having different folders for different things. It gets a bit messy. Otherwise, you can see we've got like 5 pages of templates here. So I would definitely recommend having some folders set up to organize those. What you can then do is you can do a new template, and you can do that either from scratch or from the template library. Now, the template library has some already pre-built in here. I would say they're probably a little bit generic in general, but if you don't know where to start, you want to see a couple of examples, it's worth having a look at. But let's do one from scratch for the moment. So this is where you're then going to be brought to. You can give this an internal name. So let's call this one webinar. And then the subject is obviously what we'll send to the client as the subject line of the email. You can also make these private if you want to, or share them just with specific users and teams if need be, or just share it with everyone. You can then pop in the content of your email, write that up however you want to. If you want to include personalization, you can use this little personalize tab here. What this essentially allows you to do is any information that you have stored in HubSpot as a property, you are able to input that automatically into these templates. So the most common one you're going to be doing is going to be looking for their name so that you can address it to them. So it'll pop their name in automatically. You can also do this with things like their company name. You can do it with like a message they've sent you. Absolutely anything that's being tracked within HubSpot, you're able to personalize into here. On top of that as well, you can also leave areas to, input your own manual text as you send it if you want that, I guess, real personalization to come into here as well, which in some cases is definitely worth doing.
I often use that for like meeting confirmations. So I'll have
Yeah,
a gap where I'll actually put the date in specifically.
exactly. Yeah.
So there's a bit of like personalization, and also there's if I want to like refer to something specific that happened in a particular meeting,
Yeah,
then
you
I've got
can
that
leave a
gap
little
and
gap
that
for you
space
to
to
do
do so
that.
in that area.
Exactly. You can also generate these with AI. The AI in HubSpot's getting really, really good.
Yeah.
So you can give it an idea of, what you want it to be, the kind of tone, and it will write that email for you, and then just make some tweaks. And it's even going to offer you some content suggestions as well. So this one is telling me that I'm not asking any questions in this email. So if I want this to get a higher response rate, I can put some questions in, and it just give you a few bits of information there. You can also insert things from other tools within HubSpot. So if you wanted to insert your meeting link, for instance, which is what Andy put in the chat for all of you guys at the start there, if you wanted to use that, you could do that. If you wanted to link to a document, you could do that as well. You can obviously hyperlink, you can add in images. What I would say is these emails should look like they have come from you individually on a one-to-one basis. These shouldn't be your shiny templated marketing emails that have got lots of graphics and stuff in. This should look like an email that you put together from within your inbox.
Yeah, people receiving it should feel like you've written it yourself
Yeah,
personally.
exactly.
Okay,
exactly,
as opposed to the HTML emails, which you'll find in the email tab on HubSpot,
exactly.
rather
Yeah.
than this.
Once you've then got your templates, if your email is connected, you'll then be able to send it directly from the contact record within HubSpot. So let's email King Charles. So you would just hit email here. I don't think my email is actually
Connected
connected
or set up, I doubt it would
to
be.
this one, but the snippets will then be available within this email tab here for me to do. The other thing you can do, I'll just bring it over. Oh, okay, we'll give that a moment to load. The other thing that you are able to do is do this directly through your inbox as well. So I've got a Gmail inbox that's all connected up here. If I put in a contact for me to send this to, you can see templates pops up directly here, and I can straight away pop in my template and it will populate all of this information. You can see it's pulled my first name from the CRM. It's also pulled in this blank space for me to put in my own content for it, and I can literally just hit send down here from directly within my inbox. So that works really well if you have got that inbox connection there. So that's pretty much the basics of creating these templates. They are fairly straightforward to do, but they can save loads and loads of time. So get in there and start just creating some. Move any over that you've already got stored in your Outlook because it integrates much better into HubSpot. The other thing that you can do is you can view the analytics of these templates. So within your templates library here, if you go into Analyze and then View Sales Content Analytics, you're able to see a few different things. So you're able to see the different templates that you've got. These are some that Andy has been using to prospect with. So you'll be able to see how many of those you've sent, how many have been opened, clicks, responses to those as well. So you'll be able to see that across all of your templates. You can filter this down user by user and look at specific templates performance against each other here as well. You also are able to see all of your individual templates, how many times each one's been sent, what that send to open rate is, how many opens, what that click rate is, how many responses, what the response rate is. So you get so much data as to how these are performing, which ones are doing better than others, which ones are people engaging with, how are people engaging with them, which ones are getting opened but not responded to, all of that sort of thing. So it's going to give you tons and tons of data to decide what's working well and what isn't on your templates. The other thing you can see, if you look at the open rates of some of these get exceptionally high open rates using templated emails in this way, as opposed to those marketing emails. An email with like a 55%, 40% open rate is incredibly high. You're not going to see that from a marketing email. And that comes back to what we were saying about making sure that it's looking like it's coming from an individual to an individual. So,
Absolutely. Carla's just asked, by the way,
mm,
she has templates created from other users in HubSpot, but
yeah,
there aren't any linked when she's in Google Mail. So
yeah.
how does she access them, or does she need to create her own?
All you will need to do, Carla, is where it says view all here, just click into that and then just toggle this setting. Automatically, it will just show you the ones assigned to you. If you just change this to any, you'll then be able to see all of them within your inbox there. I get that question all the time. So that is a good question because for some reason it toggles it to just your own by
So anyone
default.
as well.
Yeah,
You can also,
these
I'm
ones.
pretty sure you can create a template that is only visible to you as well,
Yes, you
when
can.
you
Yeah.
create in that in the first
Yeah, if
instance.
you can see the others in HubSpot though, but not in your inbox, it will
They're
just be
obviously
that you
public.
need to toggle on. Exactly. Okay. So let's move on to how to actually get the most from templates. How can you optimize what you're putting in your templated emails to get the best responses possible? So The first thing that I would recommend doing is to check the analytics to understand what's working for your industry and to try different things out. This is something that we've been doing ourselves in the kind of templated emails we send for ages. We found historically that using ones where we put a little GIF in them increased the response rate. I think that's happening less now, though, isn't it, Andy? That's kind of changed a bit over time, although it was really effective at the start, maybe not so much now. But that is going to shift and change, and it's going to be
Mm,
super dependent on your unique industry, your buyer personas, your ideal customers, who you're trying to attract. So the biggest tip I can give you is to try different things.
absolutely. And what works and what doesn't work. And I think that looking back, originally when we've been doing emails, there was always some kind of comedic element to the final email, just the last kind of throw of the
Mm,
dice from a prospecting perspective. And they still prove effective today. We've
yeah,
got a variety of different ones that we use, and they are, as I say, they generate responses.
yeah,
The click-through rates, the reply rates are significantly higher than other
yeah,
ones as well. But I think that what you have to appreciate is that people are you're not going to be the only ones that send this out to
yeah,
somebody. Okay. So if you are using it from a prospecting perspective, you've got to look at ways in which you stand out. And
yeah.
ultimately, that's where the HubSpot tips will help, because that's why it talks about questions in there.
Mm,
Excuse me. Sorry. People don't want to hear about how great you are as a
yeah.
person specifically. What
They
they
want to
care
talk
about,
about themselves and how you can help
absolutely,
them.
they care about what's in it for them. So what's the
Yeah,
benefit to them? Okay. So that's why the emails should be benefit focused. It should
yeah,
be asking them questions, should be conversational to elicit, to spark that response
yeah,
ultimately.
definitely,
And the more you do that, the more likely it is to get that positive feedback as well.
definitely. Um,
I think we had a couple of questions just quickly while we're
Yes,
up.
okay, let's take those quickly. So, Matthew asked, he saw an advert that HubSpot has a free forever plan. Is that true? There is a free version of HubSpot that gives you access to the CRM side of things. Um, and it is a really good place to get started on that free version. You're not going to get all of these features with it. They do lock certain things down, and the templates and snippets are something that is unlocked on the starter version. So yeah, that is how that one works.
But in answer to your question, it is free for it. Their statement is forever. It says they
Yeah,
talk about 100% free, and then the next sentence is forever. So you are right in that. Whether they change it or not, I don't know.
yeah. Craig has asked whether the integration works in the Outlook app or just webmail. Um, it depends what version of Outlook you have, Craig. Some of them you are able to integrate and some of them aren't. If you do a raise a ticket with HubSpot just through here, they'll be able to support you with that and determine whether you've got the right one or not. Helen has asked, can a template be set up to copy colleagues into emails automatically? Unfortunately not, no.
No.
However, if you are using HubSpot and all of your emails are going into HubSpot, what we often find is that you don't need to copy your colleagues in anymore because they're able to log into that client record and see the history of all of the emails that have been sent to that client. So there are cases where actually that ends up no longer being needed because it shifts the way you work and the way where you go to find that kind of information. Will has also asked, how can I build a list of lots of clients and then send that template to the list? It's a great question. So I believe we have got another webinar all about list building and email marketing. I think if we haven't, we should do that one because I think that would be really good. I'm not going to go too much into the list filters now, Will, but that's something that we can talk about separately. Once you've got a list, though, to send the template automatically to a bulk of people from that list, you're going to need to be using Sales Professional because that's where the sequences side of things come in. Now, we've definitely done another webinar all about sequences,
Yes.
which you'll be able to find on our website. Andy might be able to find you the link whilst I'm talking.
Yeah, I'll try and
Um,
find it.
but you are going to need that Sales Professional version of it to be able to kind of bulk send them out. Otherwise, it is going to be a case of going into each of them individually.
There is a way to bulk enroll sequences, by the way.
Yes, there is. You can do it with
With
sequences, but you need that Sales
you need it.
Professional
Yes.
to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sorry. So
Yeah.
it's about 50 at a time, I think you
Yeah,
can't do
it
more than
is.
50 at once. So you've got a list of about 250. It just takes 5 goes
Yeah,
essentially
to do them all.
to do them
Exactly.
all from that side. Let me just find that webinar link to.
And then Al has just mentioned that the integration with that Outlook desktop is a bit patchy. The web version is more reliable. I agree with that, Al. Generally, the web version is a little bit better. Okay. Going to jump back in. If there's more questions, we'll come back to them at the end. I want to make sure we get onto snippets as well. So the other thing with templates is to personalize them as much as possible. We've kind of touched on this already. The more personalized they are, the better they will do. Always ask questions to generate that response. Generally 1 to 3 questions is kind of what's recommended for these. Keep these emails short. Don't be sending people paragraphs and paragraphs of information about yourself. Hit them with the thing that you need from them and what you can do for them. Keep it short, keep it simple. You're going to get a much better response rate. Use them alongside the meeting link to make booking in with you really easy. If you're not already using that meeting link, get that set up and be using that in these templated emails you send, because it makes it so much more streamlined for people to be able to grab time in your diary. Use AI to generate the emails. We touched on that as we were looking at it. This works really, really well. It will need that little bit of tweaking still, but gets you 80–90% of the way there. The other thing that's important is to really understand your customer's buying journey and then tailor your emails to be helpful to them with where they're at in their journey. If someone's come on your website and just downloaded a brochure, they're not going to be ready to buy from you straight away. So tailor your emails to answer the questions that they're likely to have at that stage. Don't just hit them with a "what would you like to buy," because that's not going to be effective. It's something we do all the time with our clients, really understanding that buyer's journey and helping tailor it. Okay, moving on to snippets. I know there are a few questions, and I will come back to all of these. But moving on to snippets, this is accessible in the same place, and it works super similarly to what we've already looked at. Let me get rid of this help bar. Oh, hi, Will, joining there from from the car.
Yeah, alternative host, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
So that's all right. So with the snippets, exactly the same. You give it your name, enter the content, personalize if you want to, and then you can also use shortcuts here. The shortcuts essentially mean anywhere through the CRM where you're going to use it, you can just type in a hashtag and it will pop that snippet up straight away for you to use. Makes it so much quicker once you've got a few of those shortcuts set up. The nice thing about snippets, though, is that you can use them in different places within the CRM. So let's come back onto King Charles here. And if I was having a meeting with King Charles, for instance, I might want to take my notes in that meeting. And what I can do is I can set up a snippet that is a structured way of me taking my notes. Can then insert that into here. So let's use this one. Oh, this isn't a very good example. But you could have this set up as different headings, which you can then literally type your notes under to just give some structure to that way that you're writing your notes. It makes that handoff from sales to delivery much easier as well, because they're getting all of the notes in the same way. Keeps you focused on the questions you want to ask, all that sort of thing as well. So very few people, I think, that use HubSpot use snippets in this way as a way of standardizing and structuring other areas of the CRM, whether that be call notes, meeting notes, things like that. But I think this is drastically underutilized and can work really, really well. So it's definitely something that would be worth looking at and understanding. So you can also use them within the emails. They will integrate into your inbox as well. So you can pop those pieces of information in your emails, in your notes to add structure. You can even use them internally. If you're getting frequently asked questions or things that you want your team to have kind of talk tracks on, you can set them up a snippet about that they can open up with a shortcut really quickly wherever they are in the CRM, and get straight to that talk point that they're looking for there. We also use it within other tools, like on the quotes, to input the terms and conditions, things like that. Again, it just makes that easier as opposed to having to go find it, copy and paste it. So you can use it within that tool as well. So snippets, I think, to really get the most out of them, you want to be thinking beyond just using them in emails for little
Yeah.
pieces of information. You want to be using them to add structure, to add systemization to what you're doing, and to speed things up throughout the entirety of the CRM. Um, because they integrate so nicely into all of these other tools, they work really, really well in that way. So that's definitely something to start thinking about. Where else can you use them and how can they be most effective for you? Okay, we have just hit 11. I'm not sure, are there any questions that I've missed there,
I
Andy,
don't
or
think
have
so.
we touched on them all? Okay, great.
Yeah, I thought there was some questions, but we've got a Fireflies integration,
Ah,
so
it
that
was just Fireflies
it was just
messaging
the
us. That would be
notification,
what it
and I
was.
was putting a few links to the webinar on as
Got
well.
it.
But I think we are okay from that side.
Excellent.
Oh no, can this be used
Craig
in
says,
LinkedIn email? Okay, very good question. Simple answer is no. But I get asked this all the time. Okay, there is an integration with LinkedIn and HubSpot. Okay, um, you need a very, very premium version of LinkedIn to be able to do this. Okay,
mm-hmm,
if you have a Sales Navigator account, okay, you need the Sales Navigator advanced version, which comes at a minimum of like 10 licenses that you have to purchase as a business perspective. Okay, so what I often do with how, so I'll just talk you through how I use templates for LinkedIn email. Is I actually use snippets for this. Okay,
mm,
um, so if you have Sales Professional and Sales Navigator, you can integrate LinkedIn and HubSpot together, but you can't action any emails through it. Okay, but what you can do is you can create LinkedIn tasks in
mm.
sequences. Okay, I wonder if I can actually
I might be able to show that quickly.
show you quick because my LinkedIn is connected, but and what I do in that task is as part of a task is I will create a snippet of the message that I want to send to, and then I just copy that and put it into LinkedIn InMail. So if you
Yeah.
see here, look,
So here I've got
so
the,
in the note I will put in the snippet of the email that I want to send, and then I can just copy that and put that into LinkedIn.
yeah. So
Ultimately,
it's not fully automated,
it's
but it
not fully
puts that
automated.
message in front of you, reminds you to do it, and then you just copy and paste it over, don't you?
It just makes my life a lot easier in the sense
Yeah.
that, I mean, obviously it'd be much easier if HubSpot would do it for me, but there's only one of me, and Will or Leanne, our
We
directors,
don't need 10
we don't,
licenses.
yeah, I'm not worth 10 people apparently, so I can't get it. But effectively, that frees up my time because
Yeah.
if I get the task through, I will then go to LinkedIn and I then have to think of what to say a lot of the time. Whereas with
Mm.
this, the task comes up, the content's already in there. I can just copy it, go to LinkedIn,
Yeah, it
paste it in
makes it
there,
that bit
and it
quicker.
just makes it a lot more simple from my side as well.
Yeah. So yeah, if you've got Sales Pro, that will work pretty well. Super. Alrighty. I don't think there are any more questions.
Don't think so either.
As always, if any of this is something that you want to discuss a little bit more, Andy is available to meet. That meeting link was within the
In the
chat.
chat. I'll pop
Um,
it in again now at the top so
thank
everyone has
you.
it.
We also on our website have all of the previous webinars that we have run just under this resources tab here and then webinars. So if you are new to HubSpot and you're wanting to kind of get started with a few things, there's loads and loads on here for you to be getting started with. I think this one in particular would be useful for people. This how to get the most from HubSpot Starter, because I think there's a lot of people in today that are fairly new to HubSpot, maybe
Yeah,
not on the paid version. So this would be a good one to begin with.
I'll put a couple of links to the ones that we've spoken about, like
Yes, they're all linked in there.
uh, the 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 email masterclass that you did
Yeah,
with Will.
which will go through the lists and
It's a
stuff
little
as
while
well.
ago now. As part of our plan for later this year, we are doing an email marketing revisited with
Yeah,
lists and stuff. So we are going to come back
we'll
to
come
it.
back
So
to
look
that
out for
one.
that one also as well.
Fantastic. All right then.
Brilliant.
A few nice comments from people saying they've learned something today. So that is good. That means I am doing my job
Yeah,
correctly.
makes it all worthwhile.
It does indeed. Fantastic. All right. We we'll end it there then, I think,
Absolutely.
and hopefully see lots of you for next month's. Make sure you
Next
keep an eye on
month.
your inbox because we always send out those notifications when we've got another one coming up. Yeah, super.
Yeah.
All
Thanks for
right
your
then.
time. All right.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Speak to you soon. Cheers,
Speak to you
guys.
soon.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.